Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question. And yeah, I had to drop the person's name in the video because they asked a specific question about a specific person. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, see if I can skill up here, and let's talk about it. Alright, so the question is, why is Omar Isuf so strong? Bench is like 350, squats 500, deadlift 600. By the way, I did not know he had hit that squat and deadlift yet, so if he actually has, congratulations, Omar. That's impressive shit, brother. But why isn't he big and jacked? Short answer, because the dude's probably drug-free. He's probably natty. He's probably natty. And for a natty, he is big and strong as fucking shit. Like, anyone who thinks that for a natural he is not fucking enormous has been drinking the fake natty Kool-Aid for so long that they should probably step away from the internet. Like, if you don't think he's in the top 1 to 2% of size range for drug-free lifters for his frame, then you have been drinking the fake natty Kool-Aid and you have been given a delusional image by the internet. In fact, if steroids had not been invented, or they weren't out there or available, any person who saw him walking down the street would probably say, damn, that's a big motherfucker. That's what they would say. That's what they would say had steroids not been invented. But because you have so many people online who tell you that they're natural, who use fuckloads of drugs, people don't actually know what a natty looks like. They actually follow natural bodybuilding and honestly think that that's an example of what a drug-free person looks like. It's not. I can promise you most of those natty pros that you guys out there follow are on something. In fact, some of them are on a lot. It's not like they go through any sort of stringent drug testing. Most natural bodybuilding, it just kind of works on the honor system. Hey, I don't use anything. All right, their testing is usually that poorly done, so poorly done that just about anyone could pass it, and they don't even do that much of it because it's too expensive. Furthermore, why would they want to catch anybody? They're making money off sponsorships and supplement companies. The actual federations are. Not a lot, but enough to keep them going. And without that interest in those sponsorships, they wouldn't exist and wouldn't even be able to have a show or afford the plastic trophies they get out, because there's no real money in any of that outside of the supplement industry. Right, and the supplement industry has to pump that up, because if even the naturals are using drugs, then why the fuck does anybody need to buy their fart powders and garbage? But the thing is, most of those naturals are using drugs. Most of the examples that people have today of people they're convinced are drug-free are using gear. They're using plenty of it. I've seen plenty of guys online who are using pretty hefty amounts, who scream they're natural over and over and over. And I'm not just talking about the Mike O'Hearns and Simian Pandas. Like, anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together can look at those guys and know that they're on so much gear that it would probably kill a fucking elephant. All right, it's not hard to figure out the guys who are blasting grams and grams of gear like them. It's the guys who are only using 500 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams a week in little growth hormone. Those are the ones I'm talking about, because people actually believe them. Like, no reasonable person actually thinks Mike O'Hearn or Simian Panda is natural. Like, no one with any brains at all thinks there's any possibility of that, other than maybe a few naive teenagers. Right? No one believes that. But there are a lot of guys who are on 1/4 of what they use, been using it a lot less time, who people do buy into it. They believe them. And that is then set as your example of what someone is supposed to look like if they train really hard for 5 or 6 years and have this perfect diet or whatever and perfect supplementation. That's what they're supposed to look like, right? That's what they're supposed to look like. Then you see someone like Omar Isuf, who is actually really impressive in terms of size and everything for a drug-free lifter. Guy's big. Guy's actually really big. Again, like I said, big enough that if you saw him in person, I promise you, if you had never met anyone on steroids, he would probably be just about the biggest guy you've ever met in terms of muscle mass. He would probably be in the top 1% that most of you've ever met if there were not steroids out there. I don't think people grasp that he's bigger than he appears to be to them. In part because, one, he's not on drugs, and two, because his proportions and everything, he doesn't have the little small wrist and the tiny waist. The guy is overall bigger than you think he is. All right, the guy is jacked. But I am convinced there's at least a 90% chance that Omar isn't using anything. And I think most guys in YouTube fitness are using things. I think there are guys smaller than him who are using drugs. All right, there are guys smaller than him who use drugs, like Jeff Seid. Jeff Seid uses plenty of gear, but Jeff Seid is smaller than him. Jeff Seid's smaller than me by quite a bit. I mean, I've met him in person. Jeff is not as big as you guys think he is, but he looks big because of proportions, because of leanness. Things like that. But I can assure you that Jeff, who uses gear, no doubt about that in my mind at least, that's my opinion, honestly held opinion, but he's smaller than Omar is, if you were to put them side by side. But Omar's just got a big frame, and because he's got that big frame, people don't realize in proportion how big the guy actually is. He's a pretty big dude, and like I said, for a drug-free guy, he's really big. But I genuinely think the guy is most likely natural in an industry where I accuse almost everyone of being on, because most of them are. Let's be honest here. There's money in using gear in this industry. But I think Omar's legit. Now, I could be wrong. He could be fooling me, but I think the guy's natty. And that's why he doesn't have that look, and he doesn't look as jacked or as big, and he isn't as big as a lot of people expect someone to be at his level. But again, it's because they have been drinking this fake natty Kool-Aid, and they bought into this bullshit for so many years that they honestly don't know what someone looks like who trains really hard and is big and strong who doesn't use gear. They have no clue. They have no concept of it anymore because this industry has fooled people, and there's money in it. People say, well, why would this person lie? Why would they lie to their fans? For the fucking money, guys. Think about it for a minute. Think about it. The YouTube money, again, I don't think people realize how much money some people make on YouTube. It's a lot more than a lot of you realize. Believe me, it's a lot more than you guys realize. The sponsorships, the supplement companies, I mean, the kickbacks they're giving a lot of these guys, there's money in it. And when you're running around admitting to your gear use, unless you go work for one of these companies that basically sell drugs, like Primeval Labs, Blackstone Labs, any of these companies, unless you go work for one of them, you have to claim you're natty. Because again, they're at least pushing stuff that's basically drugs. Pushing SARMs, pro hormones, all that. Those are drugs, guys. They're classified as drugs. Performance enhancing drugs. They sell all those things. So unless you're going to go get kickbacks from those companies which sell garbage that poisons people, you kind of need to claim you're natural if you want to make it in that industry. And by claiming you're natural, it gives you the ability to tell people how to train, how to eat, to make money on YouTube, to hire clients, to write books, to write meal plans, to write training programs based upon your natural status. All right, there is a hell of a lot more money in saying you're natural and lying about it than admitting you use a little bit of gear. A lot more money and a lot less legal risk. Now, guys, you're going to say, well, what about Boston Lloyd and these guys? The only guys who get away with admitting their gear use, Boston Lloyd, Rich Piana, guys like that, these guys get away with it because they cater to the freaks. They cater to the freak shows. They cater to the guys who want a mega dose gear. They cater to guys who want to use drugs. That is not the majority of people who work out or try to get into shape. And everyone else is still looking for an edge. They just don't want to cross that boundary. And so these people can push supplements on them. They can push special routines on them because they look so much better than everyone they know who's drug-free. So they must be doing something right? So that's the idea. As long as they claim they're drug-free, people will buy products, they'll buy services and things because these guys clearly must be doing something right because they look so much better than everyone they know who's legitimately natural. They must know what they're talking about. These products must work. Their training must work. But the reality is it's usually a combination of good genetics and drugs. And in some cases, it's just drugs combined with starvation. Guys like Jeff Seid, the guy just starves himself. That's why he gets lean. That's why he's not that big on the drugs. Because the guy, he eats diets. I mean, he's posted diets where he's eating 1,800 calories a day sometimes. He just starves himself. If he didn't use drugs, the guy would look anorexic. With some of the meal plans that he's posted. So a lot of these guys actually get by on that also. But the thing is, that's what's going on. The industry has convinced people of what a natty standard is that is so far from being natural that a lot of you guys could train for 3 or 4 years, do a couple cycles of steroids, and still not look like the guys who are marketing themselves as natural. Why? Because some of them are using a lot more gear than you think they are, and they've been using it a lot longer than you think they are. You combine that with some pretty decent genetics for proportions and leanness, you know, a big illusion's then created. They create an illusion, and people buy it, and people eat it up. So why is it Omar big and jacked with his strength level? He is. He's big and jacked for someone of his strength level and his training dedication and training knowledge, who isn't injecting a bunch of drugs. The guy is pretty big. He's just natty. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.